Welcome to Contracting Conversations. My name is Scott Williams, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jim Valley. Today, we are continuing our conversation with Judy Whalen, who's DAU's Learning Asset Manager for CON 7310V, the Cost Analysis course. We previously had discussed with Judy CON 7300, which is the Price Analysis course, and also the overall credential, which is CCON 3 for Proposal Analysis. So we're really happy to have Judy back today to talk about this particular course, again, the Cost Analysis course. So Judy, thank you for joining us yet again.
It's good to be back, Scott. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, we're happy to have you. Judy, what can you tell us about this particular course, CON 7310V, the Cost Analysis course?
The cost and price analysis courses differ, as in, if you deal with cost type contracts and you're doing more cost analysis type work, you will still need to take the price analysis course, as you still need to do price analysis when a cost analysis is performed. In the cost analysis course, we focus on the basics of the cost analysis technique to include the cost principles, indirect rates, technical analysis, as well as touch on some cost modeling, just to name a few of the areas we're going to review. We recently changed the format of the course, so let me describe it to you in more detail. The course was previously 5-day format. We changed it to 8 days with a mandatory office hour held in the morning on the first day of class to sort of meet and greet and go over any expectations. We felt that the 8-day format is better for the students because it gives them more time to perform and to learn from the practical exercises contained in the class. We have a short pre-course assignment that's due before the start of the class, as well as 3 days of self-paced lessons with knowledge checks to help the students ensure that they're understanding the material. A student taking the course as a refresher will be able to work through the material in a casual manner, while students new to the career field will need to be more deliberate with their approach and spend more time to understand the material. Either way, the students will be able to maintain some sort of a normal workload, as the self-paced days do not cover a full 8-hour day. I think it's important to point out that while students are working individually, they're not on their own. The instructors are there for any questions or concerns that they may have. They can post questions in the virtual classroom for the instructor to get back with them and answer them, or they can join any of the daily live office hours to ask questions and discuss topics with their instructor. The entire class will convene on days 4 and 5 of the class to work through practical exercises. They will have both individual and classroom discussion components. And days 6 through 8 will utilize a simulation exercise that will be the course assessment. Each of the 3 assessment days cover cost analysis of a single proposal, so each day will build upon the other day for the total of all 3 days. The students will be able to see their scores instantly on a daily basis. They'll see their daily score plus a cumulative score at the end of each day. Students that don't achieve a passing grade in the assessment will still have an opportunity to come back the afternoon of that last day and walk through their weak areas with the instructor.
Okay, great, Judy. Talk a little bit about the students who would be good candidates to take this class, the Cost Analysis course, and the connection between the previous course we discussed, which is 7300, the Price Analysis course. Would there be a scenario where one student would take one course or the other, or would you recommend taking both courses, or just the cost analysis, depending on your experience? Could talk a little bit about how those courses relate and what the target audience is.
Okay, actually, I would recommend taking both courses for any contracting professional out there. However, if your daily routine deals mainly with cost type contracts, you will definitely need to take the cost analysis course as well as the price analysis course, because as I mentioned earlier, when performing cost analysis, you're still required to perform price analysis to make sure that you have a fair and reasonable price. Whereas if you're only doing price analysis, you do not need to actually work a cost analysis at that time. So I recommend both courses. However, if there's no need to take the cost analysis class because you are not dealing with any cost type contracts, you will do fine just taking the price analysis course.
So, Judy, that sounds good. It makes sense if you aren't doing cost analysis that you could just take the price analysis course. A lot of people in operational contracting, that would be perfect for them, but they won't be able to get the credential. That's the only thing on that. So the students are assessed on the last 3 days with the simulation?
Correct. The student's grade is based on the simulation covering the last 3 days. But the cost analysis course differs from the price analysis course in that the 3 days of simulation is built upon each other. So each day builds upon the last day in the cost analysis class. And they need to get an 80% on the simulation to pass the course.
Okay, great. Thanks, Judy. So in addition to this simulation exercise, and you mentioned the live office hours, which sounds great, what are some other aspects of this course that you think the students will appreciate?
I believe they'll appreciate the flexibility of the class in that they can learn at their own pace. They can still do some of their normal everyday work during the self-paced days. And actually the days 4 and 5, the exercise days, they're not full days either. So they can still do part of their everyday workload during those days. And one thing that I think that they'll like about this class is rather than get just one huge student workbook that covers the whole 8 days, they will get daily assignments in a daily workbook, which contains most of the content. Plus, they'll have videos and activities to reinforce any material that we're going over. And I think this will keep the students more engaged.
Well, it also sounds like a good desktop reference they can take back to their desk, wouldn't you think?
I agree. Yes, if they have any questions later when they're actually performing the cost or price analysis, they can actually go back to their workbooks.
Outstanding. Because otherwise, why take the course, right? You want it so it actually helps. Yep. So it helps them actually on the job. So that's awesome. So thanks, Judy, for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate your time.
That's great. Appreciate you coming to the show today to discuss CON 7310 cost analysis. We've also talked to you obviously about 7300 and also the CCON 003, which is the credential. So those of you out there, you want to know about those, please go on to our site and look for those. So this is all the time we have for today, but please, if you haven't already, subscribe to our Contracting Conversations channel, which is on YouTube, DAU Media, and Apple Podcasts. Type any comments below to include your questions for future discussions, and spread the word of this channel to your peers and to those you supervise or lead. Let us help you answer their questions. We look forward to having future contracting conversations with you.